Hello, I'm now going to record Daf Tzadik Test Part 2, and we're starting from um, Boimene of Mordechai Mirova, which is about 4 lines from the top. Boimene of Mordechai Mirova. Rav Mordechai asked Rava, Amad Bershus Rabban Gavoya Asor V'Rochav Arboa. If you have a post Bershus Rabban, which is 10 tefachim high and 4 by 4 wide, which means it is a Rishus HaYachid, V'zorak v'noch al gabav, and somebody throws from Rishus Rabban onto the post. Mahu, what's the din? Miyamrina, should we say Hare Akira be'Isser? I mean, it took off in the Rishus Rabban, Hare Anochal be'Isser, and it landed in Rishus HaYachid, so you're chayiv. Oidilma kevan demimkaim p'tur ka'as yaloi. But since in order to land on top of the post, it had to travel a bit more than 10 tefachim high, so then it traversed a mokum p'tur. So maybe if it traversed the mokum p'tur, you're poter. Omerlei, so Rava says Masnanisani, it's a Mishnah. Also Shaila Rav Yosef, he asked Rav Yosef. Omerlei Rav Yosef tells Rav Mordechai also Masnanisi, it's a Mishnah. Also Shaila Abaye, asked Abaye. Omerlei says Masnanisi, it's a Mishnah. Omerlei says to him, Kulu Baruka Dadadi Tapitu, you're all spitting the same saliva. Nobody's telling me anything, and nobody's giving me an answer. Omerlei, they said to Batlei Tizber, don't you understand? But Tanan, the Mishnah says that if there was a rock, Bershus Rabim, Hanoitel Miyam, if you take something off the rock and put it in Bershus Rabim, or Hanoisen Al Gabam, you take something from the Bershus Rabim, put it on the rock, you're chayiv. So in order to take something from the rock or put something on the rock, you've got to be higher than a Sorat Vachim. So you see that you're chayiv. Amar Lu, so he says, well, Dilma mas nisim b'machat, maybe the Mishnah is speaking about a very thin needle. So big deal. So machat nami yafshud la medallia portos. Even if it's a needle, but it's still a little bit higher than 10 tefachim. Yeah, but maybe this lamursha or inami durami b'charitza. Maybe this post, which is 10 tefachim high and dalet al dalet, has something that extends from it. And if you land something on that little extension, it's part of the Rishus HaYachid and you're chayiv. But maybe you never went above a sort of tefachim. Or maybe on top of the post there is a rid, there's a crevice. And maybe it was a needle that you happened to put into the crevice, and the whole post is a Rishus HaYachid, but as long as the needle went into a crevice below the surface of the top, so it never went above a Sorat Vachim. So the Gemara doesn't really resolve the Shaila, but the Rishonim hold that it's pretty unreasonable to say the Mishnah is speaking about such a case, so therefore the halacha is if you throw Rishus Rabim onto a Rishus HaYachid, even though you had to go through the airspace of a Makom P'tur, you're still chayiv. Next, Amar of Miyashia said, Boy Rabbi Yochanan had a shayla, Kaisel b'Rishus Rabim. If you have a wall in a Rishus Rabim, Gavoy Asor, it's 10 tefachim high, but Vein Rochav Arboa, but it's not 4 tefachim wide. But Umukaf l'Karmelis, but this is a wall that encircles a field, let's say, which is a Karmelis. But because it encircled the field, Vasoy l'Rishus HaYachid, seeing that the wall encircles the Karmelis, it makes the interior the field into Rosh Hashanah. V'zorak, now Rishus Rabim you threw v'nach al gabav, it landed on the wall, on the fence. Now what's the din? Miyamrina, do we say kiven the einu rochav arba, since it's not 4 by 4 wide, mokem p'turu. So then you landed on something which is more than 10 tefachim high in the Rishus Rabim, and it's not dalet al dalet, so it's a mokem p'tur. Or perhaps given the Asar Rishus HaYachid, since this wall has encircled the Carmelis and made the Carmelis into Rishus HaYachid, Keman de Malay Damyo, it could be that the entire interior of this field, including the wall, also is like one big chunk. And therefore it is a Rishus HaYachid, and the wall that encircles it also has become part of that Rishus HaYachid. Amar Ula, so Ula said, Kal v'chaimer, La'cheir ma'isa mechitza, if this wall, it counts as a mechitza to make the entire interior of the Carmelis into Rishus HaYachid, la'atzma le'kolshken. It too becomes part and parcel of that Rishus HaYachid, and if you throw Rishus Rabim onto it, you're throwing onto Rishus HaYachid. If you throw over it, you throw into the Rishus HaYachid, but that's not relevant. Itmer nami, so it was said, Amar Rav Chia bar Ashia bar Rav, v'chein Amar Rav Yitzchak Amar Rav Yochanan, exactly the same case. Kaisel wall Rishus Rabim, which is in the Rishus Rabim, Gavoy Asar, it's 10 tefachim high, Vein Rochav Arboa, but it's not dalet al dalet, emukaf lekarmelis, and it encircles a field which is a karmelis, va'asoy, but by encircling it, it makes the karmelis into a Rishus HaYachid. Hazarik v'nach al gabav, if you throw something to land on the wall, you're chayiv because you threw Rishus HaYachid, Rishus Rabim onto a Rishus HaYachid, because if lacheir ma'isa mechitza latzmei lekolshken. Because if it can make the interior of the field into Rosh Hashanah, then it becomes part and parcel of that field, and the top of it is also Rosh Hashanah. Next. Boy, Rabbi Yochanan wanted to know, Bar Tisha, if you have a pit that's only 9 tefachim deep, and it's daled al daled, v'akar mimenu chulya, and you put in a shovel, and you dig out a shovel full of earth, which is daled al daled, and 1 tefach high. V'ishlim al asora. Now you have made the pit 10 tefachim deep. Now are you chayiv for being moitzim Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah? Akiras chayfetz v'asiyas mechitza b'hadi adadi ka'asu u'michayiv. You made it into a 10 tefachim deep pit by taking out the object, so it's considered you took the object out of Rosh Hashanah, or you're not chayiv because when you severed the shovel full of earth, it had not yet been a Rosh Hashanah. It happened simultaneously. And if you will find to say, since you didn't have a 10 tefachim deep pit at the outset, because you can't initiate an akira unless you're initiating it from something which is already 10 tefachim deep, and therefore this was not yet a rishus hayachid. What about bar asara v'nasan l'taycha chol yomiyata? You had a pit that was exactly 10 tefachim deep, and you threw a shovel full of earth into it, and now it's less than 10 tefachim deep. You had a rishus hayachid, but hanochas chayfetz v'siluk mechitza b'adi adadi kasu. But when your shovel full of earth landed, you now diminished its depth from 10 tefachim. Therefore, michayiv, are you chayiv because it was a rishus hayachid when you threw into it? Or loy michayiv, or maybe since when it landed, it no longer was a rishus hayachid, so maybe you're potter. So Gemara says, Tifshet leim mididei. Can we perhaps solve Rabbi Yochanan Shaila from one of his own statements? But it's not going to work. Ditnan, it's actually a mission in the next daf, but we've had it already twice. Hazarik, somebody who throws arba amas, somebody throws 4 amas and Rosh Hashanah bakaisel at a wall. So if it hits lamala mi'asor tefachim, more than 10 tefachim off the ground, kazarik ba'aver, it's like being in the air, because it's higher than 10 tefachim, Rosh Hashanah is a makam ptur. But lamata mi'asora, if it's lower than 10 tefachim, kazarik ba'aretz, so then it landed Rosh Hashanah, and you threw arba amas Rosh Hashanah. And vazarik, of course, ba'aretz arba amas chayiv. And since you threw across the terrain of Rosh Hashanah Marbamas, you're chayiv. Vavinaba, so we asked the Balabata Shakasha, what do you mean you threw it at a wall? If it's a ball, it didn't land on the wall, bounced off it. So there's no hanocha at the end of the Arbamas. Rabbi Yochanan gave his famous answer, Bidvela Shemena Shenina. We're talking about a very sticky fig. So the sticky fig landed stuck against the wall. So if it sticks against the wall higher than 10 tvachim, then it's stuck in a makam ptur. If it sticks against the wall lower than 10 tvachim, then it's stuck with shusarabim. But the kasha is, I'm assuming that from where he is standing and through that fig until the wall was exactly arbamas. Exactly. So therefore when the fig landed, but part of the fig didn't traverse the arbamas because the fig diminished the arbamas. So therefore you see that even though upon landing it diminishes the arba amas, you're chayiv. So the same way if you threw a shovel full of earth into a pit, even though with the landing of the shovel full of earth it diminished the pit, you should be chayiv. The Gemara says there's no comparison. From the man who threw the fig until the wall there is arba amas. The fig landing against the wall does not diminish that arba amas. So therefore it's considered it landed at the end of arba amas. But here this spade full of earth, which is daled al daled, which lands at the bottom of the pit, diminishes the cavity. See, the pit, the fig that lands against the wall cannot be considered is too insignificant. The fig that's stuck against the wall is too insignificant to be considered something which diminished the distance between the thrower and the wall. But the shovel full of earth, which is a tefach thick and daled al daled, when it lands, that diminishes the actual depth of the pit. And there, Rabbi Yochanan had a shaila. Boy Rav had another shaila. Zorak daf v'nach al gabi yisei desmahu. If you have a board that's daled al daled, and you have pegs in Rosh Hashanah, they're 10 tefachim high, 4 pegs, and you threw that board and it landed on top. Once it lands on top, you have now created a Rosh Hashanah. It's 10 tefachim high and daled al daled. So my kami boile, what's the shaila? The shaila is anachas chayfetz vasiyas mechitza badi adadi kasu. Your board that landed at the same time that the Rosh Hashanah became Rosh Hashanah. Isn't that Haina to Rabbi Yochanan? Isn't that the same issue as Rabbi Yochanan? Because Rabbi Yochanan was wondering, again, if the creation of a Rishus HaYochid happened when you made an Akira. Remember? You had a shovel full of earth that you took out a pit that was 9 tefachim deep, and the Akira happened simultaneously with the creation of the Rishus HaYochid, and he had a Shaila. So Rava now has a Shaila, if the Hanocha happens simultaneously with the creation of Rishus HaYochid, are you chayiv? Isn't that the same Shaila? The Gemara says, well, a little bit different. Ki kami boile the Rava. Rava Shaila was not Rabbi Yochanan's. In speaking going to Zorak, daf v'chayfetz al gabav. Let's say you throw this board, and there's an object on the board. Let's say you have a book on the board, and you threw it onto the pegs. What's the din? Kevin the bahadi adodi ka'asu, since the board and the book land together, ka'anochas chayfetz v'asiyas mechitza dami, it's considered that the board and the book landed at the time that Rishus HaYochid became. So that's going to be exactly Rabbi Yochanan Shaila, perhaps, that when you make the Rishus HaYochid, in Rabbi Yochanan's case, at the time you make the Akira, in this case, at the time you make Nanocha, and therefore it's a Shaila. Or Dilma, perhaps this is stronger. Kivin le efshir le midla purta v'hader nayach is kasiyas mechitza v'nachas chayfetz dami. It's impossible for the board to land that the book shouldn't jump. So therefore, once the board lands and then the book jumps, so the book has jumped onto a Rishus HaYochid, and therefore, and now it lands in Rishus HaYochid. But that's the issue. The issue is if that little bounce of the book on the board is considered a nu hanocha, or that little bounce doesn't count, and therefore, if becoming a Rishus HaYochid at the time of the hanocha doesn't make you chayiv, so you're not going to be chayiv. Okay. So again, there's one kasha I'm leaving you with that I don't know the answer yet. How could the area under the wagon be considered a Rishus HaRabim just because there's a gap between two boards on one side and two boards on the other side, and therefore there's no roof overhead, but that becomes a gap of 1 amma between the boards. Isn't that an inconvenienced place to go? So why doesn't that become a karmelis? There's something wrong with the question. I don't know what it is. Okay, have a good Shabbos, everyone. We should see each other again in good health.